Unstoppable Real Estate Investors. I'm Rayanna Starr, and I'm your hostess of the Unstoppable Real Estate Investor podcast, where we're learning from the top 5% of real estate investors in the industry, people that have made it, people who are making it, people who have either been able to quit the 9 to 5 and support themselves on real estate, or they've got a nice passive income, or they are doing it as a passion and have made the kind of money they need to make in order to be free of a job if they wanted to be. 95% of the people who try to be real estate investors fail, probably because of a lack of education or a lack of implementation. And so with us is Trevor, who's got quite a bit of experience, and we're going to learn from Trevor and his story, the good, the bad, the ugly. But before we do that, I just want to welcome you, Trevor, and thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today.
I'm excited to be here. I love telling my story. I love helping people learn. So I always jump at an opportunity.
Yay. Okay. So why don't we just go back pre real estate,
Yeah.
talk a little bit about what your background is, and then up to where the real estate bug bit you.
Yeah. So I have the world's most unique background. In fact, I even made a YouTube video. It's on my channel. Am I the world's most interesting man? You can watch it and decide for yourselves. So I'm originally from Niagara Falls, Canada, and I started working for Ripley's, believe it or not, at age 13. I worked there all through high school. Then I switched and I worked with Guinness World of Records. So it was a local franchise in Niagara Falls. Then I got promoted up and I managed all of Guinness for North America. And so I ran one in the Empire State Building in New York, opened up a franchise location in Los Angeles on Hollywood Boulevard. The coolest, biggest kind of thing that happened there is we gave Michael Jackson a Lifetime Achievement Award and actually had lunch with him. So if you can imagine that, and met lots of world record holders. Then I actually wanted to open my own Guinness in Orlando, Florida, the land of tourism, but the deal fell apart. Ripley's, oddly enough, who I originally worked for, bought the rights and wouldn't give me a franchise. So strangely enough, I went down there and I'd made a second deal to open a year-round haunted house. Unfortunately, it wasn't very successful, but my partner was a super active real estate developer. He would very creative. So he would buy big pieces of property and then sell the back hotel and put retail stores in the front. And he developed a lot of International Drive if you've been there. So I got a little bit more on the real estate bug. But anyways, the haunted house wasn't very successful. So I got recruited by a headhunter for I Fly Indoor Skydiving. I did 20 years with
Oh, I've
them.
done that. I've
Yeah.
done the iFly.
So I did 20 years with them. I opened 46 of 80 locations all over the world.
Wow.
First one on a cruise ship. And again, a couple of famous people came and flew. So right when the first Iron Man movie came out, Robert Downey Jr. came and flew in the tunnel, and I got to meet him. And I did that for 20 years. And then we got bought out by, I was always interested in real estate. In fact, our very first team meeting, he gave us a copy of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So that's like 25 years ago. And I read it and I was like, wow, this is powerful. But what I did was so many people do is I kept on the monopoly board. I just kept going around go collecting, and I wasn't buying any real estate. I wasn't doing anything. And then we got bought out by private equity company, and I got a pretty decent payday. So I said, okay, if I don't get in real estate now, I never will. And so that was 5.5 years ago. I went to a couple of weekend seminars, found a group I liked, and started passively investing in real estate because that's what I wanted to do because I still loved my job. So since then, I've passively invested in 20 syndications. Eight have gone full cycle. Then I started to get interested in the active side of it. So I was doing that while I was working. And so trying to get deals, trying to make things happen. And then I was seriously considering leaving and doing it full time when COVID made the decision for me because our company let go 80% because They went from business growth to business survival, like many companies. And
Yep.
so I switched to the active side. And since then, I've been a general partner on 11 syndications and 8 of those in the last year with Massive Capital. So joining Massive Capital was just blown up for me being on the active side.
Love that. When you talk about the active side,
Yeah,
like syndications truly is passive. A lot of people think passive income is rentals. It's not.
yeah,
You still have to be involved in
correct. Yeah,
making decisions. Passive income is when your money is making money for you.
yes, that's
Bottom
correct.
line. You're
Yeah,
not having to do anything and you're an LP. You're a limited partner in a
yeah,
syndication. You're not a general partner. You're just collecting
yeah.
your dividend checks.
And there's a really famous saying by Warren Buffett, if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. And so passive investing is your money working for you, not you working for your money. So you invest it into a group of experts, people that know what they're doing. You get to like those folks, and they're responsible for everything. And you just sit back, collect your checks that, call it mailbox money, but nobody gets money in the mailbox anymore. It all comes through ACH. But that is truly the way to
You could
create.
call it your own personal ATM.
That's right. And it is absolutely the way to really grow your wealth. And I like to talk a lot about it because a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to do this until I can live off of it. But I want to start off by saying something really important. The power of compounding your money is ridiculous. So the one thing that I wish I had done was started early. And it just think about this. If I had $100,000 and I could double it every 5 years. So in 5 years, it becomes 200. I reinvest it all, it becomes 400. I reinvest it all, it becomes 800. I reinvest it all, it becomes 1.6 million. I reinvest it all, it becomes 3.2 million. So think about this. You only invested once and you continue to let it compound. You never withdrew it. You continued to grow it. And $100,000 in 25 years, a lot of assumptions. You double your money every 5 years. You have no tax events. It's worth $3.2 million. How many people listening to this would that dramatically change where you are? Um,
Everyone. And when
everyone.
you put it like that, Trevor,
And so think about that. So that's the true power of passive investing, your money working for you, but it gets really magnified when you can compound it, when you're not using it to live off of. So very different than a lot of people. I tell people to keep reinvesting till you reach this point. And of course, if you had a really good job and you could do 5 years of $100,000 investments, you could reach a point where it was no problem to live off the passive income because you generated. But I always tell people to really, really think through that game of compounding your money. And that's super powerful. 90% of all millionaires became so through real estate. And it was the buy and hold game.
yeah, so you had capital when you started
So I was
because you
fortunate. Yes.
yeah, you were fortunate because you had jobs that you paid well and apparently you're a real
Yeah.
go-getter because you basically pretty much put iFly on the map. You did
I hope
half
so. I really,
50
it was a great.
50% of their locations you were responsible for. So you had capital. So going the syndication route, before you did that, how did, are you a big research investigator type? You seem like you would be. Like,
So
how did you determine? Because there's so many ways to make money in real estate, not
yeah,
just wholesaling, rehabbing, and rentals. There's carrying notes, there's being a lender, there's syndications, there's arbitrage, there's short term, there's long term. There's so many ways to make money as a private money lender, a transactional lender, hard money lender, blah, blah, blah. So how was it that you determined that syndications is where you wanted to start? Because most people won't, that's not where they start. They
yeah,
grow into that. So
yeah. So
a
it was
little bit about that.
yeah, it was very interesting. So part of it was I was afraid. I didn't want to do single family. I was afraid of toilets, tenants, and trash. I was afraid of
Wait, say
everything.
that again. He was
Toilet,
afraid of toilets.
tenants and trash.
Tenants and trash.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, so I was terrified, right? Because when my own toilet stops working, I don't know, I get ripped off every time somebody comes and fixes my, and I thought, why do I want to make that a job? All right, I'm buying a job if I do that. Why do I want to do that? And then I just never understood it. And then all of a sudden I went to this conference and I learned about real estate syndication. And I went, hold on a minute, let me make sure I got this right. There's a bunch of people who know what they're doing, who do this professionally for a living. They buy a business, they buy a multifamily. That's a business that is backed by a real asset, which is the apartment complex. They improve the business, renovate the apartment complex,
And
proper
add
maintenance,
amenities and
all of these things
yeah.
they do, and then they sell this for a multiple of the improvement. And I went, wait a minute, that's what I've been doing my whole life in my business world. You know, we buy businesses, we fix them up, we sell them. That's how we sold Lifeline, got a big payday. You know, we did all of these different things, and we bought some franchise locations back. And so I understood that business model at the beginning. I kind of went, where have you been my whole life when I learned about this? Where have you been? Because I understand that model. What I didn't understand was, you know, and I knew I had friends that had some rental properties and all they did was complain about their tenants and this and the roof leaked and oh, I had to pay my property taxes and you know, and but when I found out that you can invest with people that do this for a living and they do all of the work, and if you think about this, on average, the investors actually own normally about 70% of the whole business, and the sponsors own 30%, and that's how they get paid. I started to see the balance like, hold on a minute. When I get paid, they get paid. Like when I invested my money through a Merrill Lynch, they got paid whether I made money or not. But I like this idea of, wait a minute, we're tied together. And when I make money, they make money. And this whole thing just started snowballing in my head. And I've done more than multifamily investments because I wanted some diversification. So, you know, I have a medical center, I have a couple of retail, I have a new build storage, I have a couple of land deals, and, you know,
When
because
you say I have, those are syndications you're invested in, right?
that's correct.
Yeah.
And so again, you're giving your money to folks that are doing all the work, but it's backed by a real asset. And again, it's a reward at risk reward and how much effort and whatever they do. And it was just once I got enlightened on this, my mind was blown. And obviously, you know, I've been 31 deals now in 5.5 years. Now I was fortunate that I had some capital to start. But you know, now I'm growing it and you know, plan to
So
at least
talk a little bit, Trevor, about in addition to syndications, what else have you done?
well, so before I had my money in you know 401k from work, I had my money in the stock market. You know, and it was funny. I got this big payday when we got bought out, and I got killed on income tax, right? And then I started thinking, wait a minute, I've heard about real estate has some great tax advantages and all these other things. And you know, I loved Monopoly as a kid. But somehow I never put Monopoly into my life, right? I mean, who wins Monopoly? The folks that buy Boardwalk and Parkway, that buy the utilities, buy the things. And, you know, somehow it just never dawned on me that, wait a minute. And the goal is, right, you get four houses and you turn them into a hotel. Well, a hotel is a business, and it could have been an apartment complex if we were redoing Monopoly right now.
Well, there is Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow
There
game.
is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, I had an honor meeting Sharon Lechter, who co-authored the book with him, yet 2 days ago in Dallas at a conference she was speaking. Great honor to meet her. And but yeah, so getting that mindset in that, and then so now my mission is that 1,000 people get financial independence through real estate investing. What I hope is that I say something here that somebody goes, I didn't think of it that way. Because I didn't think of it that way. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad and I went, wow, what a unique way to look at the world. But I didn't change what I was doing. I didn't do anything different. And I watched my friend who was doing lots of real estate deals, and his deals were again, he would buy a big property and he was moving things around and, but I just didn't do it till I found out that I can trust professionals to do it. And if you think about it, on average, the goal is to double your money every 5 years. And we already talked about how that can really amplify if you keep reinvesting.
The compounding, yeah, the
Yeah.
power of
Real
compounding.
estate is not a get rich quick. It is a
Now,
get rich over time, but it's super powerful.
yeah, and it builds momentum. Even people who are wholesaling,
Yeah.
they think that's the fast, easy route, and it's
Well,
not.
there's lots of ways to do it, right? There's lots of ways to
Right.
do real estate, right? Again, if if even what I had now, if I think about it, when I was an 18-year-old or 20-year-old buying my first house, if I had have been tuned into bigger pockets and the bird and on the house hacking, think about this, right? Like I have a friend who did this, and he didn't have enough money to go buy anything big, but he was a veteran, so he got a VA loan and he bought a house, a 4-bedroom house. He actually slept on the floor in the basement until he had time to build himself a room down there. He rented his 4 bedrooms, and then he took that money and he bought the duplex. And he lived in one half of the duplex where he lived on the basement floor, and he rented all the rooms out. Then he bought a fourplex. Then he
You
bought
know
a
what I love about what you're saying, Trevor, is it reminds me of Dave Ramsey. I've
yeah,
gotten out of debt 2 or 3 times in my life. Um, you know, and then the debt I do carry now is wise debt, like, a mortgage or leveraging or whatever. But one of the sayings he has is if you live like no one else, then you can live like no one else.
yeah, yeah. But
And I
it's
love what you're saying about your friend that did that. Like he bought the house and he lived in the basement, like, and rented everything out. Like he had that vision before he was living high on the hog and enjoying that lifestyle. He's willing to live a humble existence in order to achieve
well,
his
and,
goals.
and now let's change a little bit too, because Dave Ramsey's a little bit don't get in debt resistance. The difference between bad debt and good debt is what you need to understand.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah. That
well,
is
this
one
young man
place
had
I
a
don't agree
mortgage.
with him. Right.
He
Yeah.
had a mortgage and he couldn't afford it, but he knew if he put 4 people in, he'd actually live rent free. But he didn't take the profits. He took the profits and then used those profits to buy the duplex.
Yeah.
Then he bought the fourplex. And
Yeah.
again, he was 30 years old and he owned and I think it was an 8 or 12 unit apartment complex where he still lived in one. Um, but what a way to get on your journey, right? So
Yeah.
so so the
God, I wish I had learned so
yeah.
much earlier in life, but it's never too late. It really isn't.
And so the power of debt that earns you money, right? The power of leverage. Actually, let's even change the word for debt to leverage. The power of leverage, right? So again, my group just closed on a $16.9 million apartment complex. I never thought in the world I would say I own part of a $16.9 million apartment complex. Never. And
Let's
then
just round up to 17 million,
yeah,
shall we?
never in the world. But if you think about it, right? So it's about 68% debt leverage. So there's that much, so there's debt. Then there's investor capital, and the investors own 70% of the total package, including what's on a bank loan. And then us as sponsors own 30% of those things. And again, it's this
So
numbers
you are a GP on some of the
on
syndication.
11, on 11.
On 11, you're
Yeah,
GP.
yeah.
Um, so let me ask you, because you make everything sound so easy, and I know it wasn't. And you do have an interesting background with Wrigley's and
Yeah,
Guinness Book of World Records and IFI. And I know those were probably fun places to work, but it sounds like you worked hard and you were
I
very
did.
successful. So talk about like what for you has been behind the scenes, that the thing you don't want people to know. What's been the biggest challenge for you as a real estate investor?
Well, the biggest challenge was so my very first deal as a general partner. A lot of people don't realize that how hard that is to go to that active side. We actually couldn't close the deal. I lost I was supposed to make $75,000 and I lost $75,000.
Ouch.
And losing $75,000 after tax money is a lot of money. It's a lot of money on the active side. And all our investors, when we couldn't close, they got their money back. They weren't at risk. So it's so super powerful of how hard it was. And then during the market climb, it was super hard to get into a deal because the market was so hot. And to be honest, so many people overpaid. Some of those deals, not many. And there's this big thing about, oh, we're in a big distress, right? I think it's 1% of all multifamily deals are in distress. Now, on a sheer number, it's definitely happening. But, it was super hard to find the right deal. And I think the most important thing that I want to get the word out there is until I finally got on a team, because I was trying to do everything myself. So now I'm on a team with massive capital, and we have folks that underwrite, find deals, underwrite deals, analyze deals. I'm on the capital raising side, so I raise money from investors. And I have a team that work with me, and we have people. Once we have it, we have a full-time asset manager. We have a full back-end finance department that looks at the finance. And you think of this, so a real power of a team made me grow. But as a passive investor, investing in a powerful team makes you grow, right? Because we can't do our deals without our investors. We need bank debt and we need investors to put money in and to be partners with us. A lot of people don't think of that they're actually partners with us. As I mentioned before, they own 70% of a $17 million apartment complex. Think about that. It's pretty
Mm-hmm.
powerful. And so once I started to kind of get all those things through this thick head of mine, and I didn't start till I was 58. I wish I'd have started at 18, like this young man I talked about. So again, don't wait to buy real estate and wait. No, I got a lot of nuggets, but don't wait to buy real estate and wait.
And wait. Yeah, I love that.
And, a lot of people think, well, once you get to know sponsors, you can sometimes get in for less than the minimum just to be able to get into a deal and try a deal. And then if you start to think of the power of, even if you can start with 25 and turn it to 50 and then turn it to 100, it's still going to grow exponentially. And the difference is you're making money while you sleep. That is the biggest difference, right? Your money now is working for you, not you trading time for your money. I mean, I loved flying indoor skydiving. I was a huge part of the growth. And the second something went wrong, boom, 60%, 70% of the team gone. I'm gone. See ya. Have a nice day. Literally, phone call. Um, Today's your last day. We're sending, it's like, whoa, hold on a minute. I gave you guys 20 years of my life.
Yeah. There
I
is
mean,
no loyalty in corporate America
I mean,
with,
I
I mean,
had
and you know
months
what's
of unused vacation time from this because I kept working because I was a workaholic. I'm still a workaholic, but now I'm working more for myself and with my team. Yeah, so they have no allegiance. It was a joke, when we first sold, our boss bought a Ferrari, and I saw a cartoon that said, "Hey, if you work hard again, maybe I'll be able to buy another Ferrari next year."
well, along those lines, I love what you're saying is because a lot of people, listen up, people, what I'm about to say, it's saying what you're saying, but in a
Yeah,
different way, is I have friends that have been in awe of me being an entrepreneur for,
yeah,
I've had other businesses besides real estate. And they're just like, wow, I just couldn't do that. And I'm like, really? And they're like, yeah, just because I need the benefits. And the just what they were basically saying is, I don't trust myself
yeah,
to show up and have the discipline and do the work I need to do. I need someone else telling me what my schedule is and for
yeah,
me to show up and be accountable. And you do have to be a self-starter. And I do have this thing about you don't necessarily have to be disciplined. Some people are disciplined. I'm not. I'm a determined person.
yeah,
And determination for me is far more motivating than discipline. Discipline just has a negative feeling to me, like, oh, I'm having to do something to be good and be disciplined. Whereas determination, like, I'm determined, I'm going to go and get what I want. And I'm going to do whatever I need to do to go get it. That motivates me more. But the point I'm trying to make is people think they have more security working for someone else, even working for a large corporation. I mean, this company I work for, Fortune Builders, as a business coach, was it was large, but in the scheme of large companies, a company of 500 employees is considered more of a
Yeah.
medium-sized company. But it was large in my mind. And when they laid us off because of COVID, I mean, the whole company was based on live events for a lot of their marketing. I wasn't freaking out because I was already planning my exit. I was already planning so that if that ever happened, I wouldn't be in a vulnerable position.
Yeah.
But people think working for someone else is more secure. You get benefits, you get, vacation, paid vacation, and what they don't get is you have no control and it isn't secure. In
Yeah.
fact, it's very insecure. And when you're working for yourself, if you have the discipline or the determination and the work ethic, you have far more control and far more freedom. And the key is, if you know that you're not that way, is then hire a coach to
Yeah.
hold you accountable or get a partner. When we talk about rocket fuel, one of Gino Wickman's books, it takes a visionary and an integrator to come together. Have a partner, create your own structure and accountability. Anything you want to say about that? The fact that being self-employed is actually more freedom than and more
It is,
security.
but I also want to talk about a slightly different paradigm of, a lot of people say, okay, you have to save. I want to tell people to invest. Okay, because savings in theory with
I
inflation the
agree.
amount is going backwards.
Well,
So,
and it's passive, but it's not,
but invest. So
yeah, you're not
investors,
making money
so
from it. Right.
so say, okay, I make $100,000 and I'm going to put this many $1,000 into some sort of investment to grow it like we talked about before. Then you can make the decision, not somebody else make your decision. Okay, once you create this passive income, right? So again, my theory is work, keep working, but invest, don't save, invest, and live frugally and do all those things. And again, I didn't. My sister used to joke that I was the richest poor person she ever knew because I had a great job and I never had any money because I spent it all. I got a promotion. I bought a bigger house. I bought a second car. I bought a this. I went on vacation. So I wish when I was younger I had the discipline to start
Yeah,
investing,
me too.
and
We're,
then it
we're
wouldn't have been
similar
so
in age.
shocking.
You got to this at
Yeah.
58. You had been very successful. You made a lot of money. You had the benefit of having capital to start with. And, I feel the same way. I completely agree with you.
And so then you're making your choices, right? You're able to say, okay, listen, I'm ready to move to the next level, or I'm ready to do this. So super important that way.
Absolutely. So, what's your focus now at this point? Are you where you want to be? Are you going to keep going?
No, keep going, definitely. So Massive Capital's been in existence for 2 years. I've been with them for 1 year. Our goal is to get massive, hence the name. And
Are
so
you in a partnership?
So there is a partnership. I'm what's referred to as a preferred partner. So within Massive Capital, there are three principals. They're the main owners of the company. Then there's a group of us. I'm going to call them the first adopters that joined them and said, okay, we're going to, so we're all putting our time and energy in for a piece of the GP stake. So,
Okay,
so we're
got it.
making money. So when a deal
So
closes,
you guys have formed your own syndication.
that's correct. And then
Okay,
so now we're doing deals. We have 200 million in assets under management in 2 years. I was involved in the last 100 million of that. So my goal is to keep doing that for a while. We've started a mentorship program to be able to do people. And the whole concept of what we're doing is as our students grow, the partners grow, we grow and the partners grow. And the whole idea, of course, is, that at some point we'll
Win-win. Yeah.
reach this critical mass where the machine will keep doing the work. At the beginning, you have to do the work until you create a business, right? You look at somebody, again, let's just use Elon Musk, right? Elon Musk, when he first started Tesla, he was in the factory working on he was doing the things, and now the business runs itself. Became the richest man in the world for it. I'm only trying to be number two richest man in the world, so I'm not. My goals are not as high as it.
Now
But
you're touching on Michael Gerber's theory of you have to be the technician first, and there's nothing wrong with being the technician, the worker bee, because you don't have a business without one. You
yeah,
need someone who's making the product or delivering the service, and then you need to go to the next level of someone that starts to duplicate the worker bee
that's
and
correct. And
systematizes things.
you create the systems, and then the systems grow, and then you manage the systems. So, as I said, we're in our second year with massive capital. It's going to take us a few more years, but the goal is then right now I'm still working really hard. Still doing a
But
lot.
you're choosing to, you don't really have to, right?
I don't know if a bit of both.
Yeah.
I still need to create wealth. I can't just, I have to still continue to work to create.
But that's your choice.
It is.
You don't have to.
Yeah.
Okay. Because where the real wealth is like you're saying, you're working because you want to, not because you have to, that you've
Yeah.
got like one of the definitions of wealth is when your passive income covers all your
Yeah.
expenses, all
Yeah.
your assets cover all your liabilities, and you break even. That is the first level of wealth. And then you go way beyond that. There are levels of wealth. Like I live in Asheville, North Carolina, and I'm a pass holder of the Biltmore Estate, one of the Vanderbilt residences. And it's just massive at this property. And they've sold off thousands and thousands and thousands of acres over the years. But I think they're at like 16 or 8,000 acres now. And the
Yeah.
mansion, the house is 175,000 square foot French chateau, like castle in a way. It's got 4 floors, 32 bedrooms, blah, blah, blah. And when I'm there, it's so humbling. I
Yeah.
realize, and I've gone to the Hearst Castle, how humble my idea of wealth is in comparison to
Yeah.
that level of wealth. And in a way, that's liberating.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, okay, my idea of wealth is very, very humble in comparison. And what a relief. There is a point where I don't need more, and more is for you, for example, and Warren Buffett and Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and the guy with the cell phone business in Mexico, whatever his name is, just all they're working because it's a purpose and a passion now. They're
Yeah.
not working because they have to.
Yeah, I'm listening to a book right now, and it's an interview with 12 billionaires. And they all basically asked, why did you stop at $1 million? And they said, we weren't working for the money. We were working because we loved what we did. We loved what we create. And again, the reason I keep doing what I'm doing and the reason why I stop in the middle of the day and talk to you is I want to inspire others to to take this journey to learn the power of passively investing in real estate, right? It's just super powerful, and there's lots of reasons why it's better than the stock market, better than everything else. Because I want people to be able to have. I waited late. If I'd have started this way earlier, I'd probably be retired now completely. I don't know if I even would because I love what I'm doing. So, but it's just
Isn't
it,
that a joy? Like you're not working because you have to, you're working because you want to, and you're engaged in the challenge and you're still learning new skills. So, what is it about the work you're doing now that has you so passionate and
well, it's so
excited?
it's twofold. The most important one is spreading what I didn't learn till I was much later in life, spreading that until your money works for you, you will work until you die, right? I kept working for my money. I did very well, but I was working for my money. My money wasn't working for me. Until I somehow, and I don't even know how to track the 1,000 people because, I do a lot of things, but, until I've created a bigger message out there for this, it's not going to stop. And then, as I mentioned before, with Massive Capital, we have started a mastermind program. And I love seeing somebody come in and learn how to get over to the active space. We do a lot of coaching on capital raising and networking because who you give your money to is way more important than where you put your money. So I want to make sure that message gets out there that they call it know, like, and trust, but it's even more than that, right? Because
It's competency.
well, and it's everything. We're in a relationship for I want to make sure that your values are my values and we're doing things.
Values are so key to be in alignment of, very
We
much.
want to make money, but if we can make money and make the world a better place, that's a double win, right? So one of my personal goal things I wanted to do, I bought an apartment complex and I saw somebody else did this and the day I finally could do it. So last year, going back to school, we gave every child a backpack full of supplies in our complex. And I got to tell you, it was like, for me, it was my highlight of a year seeing these little kids' pictures with big smile. There was this one little girl, the backpack was half the size of her. It was hilarious. She was so tiny, but she had this big grin on her face. And I know as a young parent, back to school was an expensive time of year. And just to be able to do that.
That
Um,
right there, when I remember having dinner with a good friend of mine a few years ago, and we were at the table with a couple of other people, and we were talking about, like, if you were really wealthy and you won the lottery or you got your wealth some other way, what would you do? And there's the initial thing is I'd pay off my all my debts and I, you know, help family and friends and stuff. But then it was, what after that? What after, when you have everything you need and the people you love have everything they need, then what? And it's about not so much legacy, because that's a selfish thing, having a legacy. It was more about the joy of wealth, was exactly what you're just talking about. There is no true altruism because philanthropy feels good. So, altruism, pure, unadulterated selflessness, there's no such thing because it feels so good to give and to help people and to be able to do that. I just love that. I love that you brought that up.
yeah. And again, it at the end of the day, yes, we all want to make money. And I still think our investors creating financial independence is it's a good thing, right? And again, it's a win-win. I make money, they make money, right? I like that. And again, you look for sponsors that have that mentality, right? That we want, if we make money for our investors, we'll make money. We did a memorandum of understanding the first time I did a deal that no matter what, we make decisions based on investor returns. And again, and then we make the next level was we make decisions based on our residents. Because again, trying to if we take care of all of those things, we'll get taken care of.
Yeah. If you take care of the people will take care of your business.
Yeah.
Anything else? Do you have a pitch about Massive Capital or a plug that
Well,
you?
the best thing is just to connect with me on LinkedIn. So you got
And
to remember,
who are you
okay,
looking for, accredited investors and
we
who?
look for both types of investors. If you're not
Okay.
accredited, we have to have a relationship, so we have to connect. But we do start most of our deals. It's called 506B, but we have to have a relationship and have to have established, and then we switch our deals to be for accredited. So the idea between that again, it's extra work. It's a lot of things, but the concept of we really want to create a space where the average person can still get into real estate investing And then, of course, to raise larger dollars, you go off to the accredited and be able to spread it. So, you
So
know,
what's the minimum that someone
so
could?
normally it's 50,000.
Okay.
But talk with us. Our goal is to get people started. I don't like to make the minimum. The minimum only gets into consideration. We're only allowed 35 non-accredited investors. So if I was going to invest 25 and you were going to invest 50, I might have to say, I'm sorry, Trevor, you're out. Rihanna's in because she's met the whole thing, because we have a limit there. But I'll be honest, in 31 deals, we've only reached the limit once. So again, don't be
There's
afraid.
hope, people. There's hope. You can
Yeah.
do it. Now,
Well,
what
because
now
again,
that let me
we
just
want people to start.
yeah.
We want people to start. We want people, and of course, yes, I want to find people that are going to invest, 250, $300,000. But at the end of the day, I believe firmly the person who can invest $25,000 and get started, is we're making a bigger difference in their lives than we are on the other person.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's where I want to interject because typically most syndications, an accredited investor is someone who can invest minimum 100K and they have assets of value of $1 million, not including their personal residence.
Yeah.
So the fact that Trevor is saying that someone could get in the deal with 25K, but really their preference is 50K as the baseline to be an accredited investor is really something because, and investing in a syndication, you don't do any of the work. It truly is
Yeah.
passive income. Your money's making money for you. What's the average lifespan of
So
an of a
typical,
syndication?
typical deal is 3 to 7 years with an average of 5. 5 is kind of the sweet spot for many deals. Some deals are less, like 3 years. Some deals are a little longer, like 7. Rarely is it much longer than that. And the reason for it is a lot of these deals are kind of, I call it the time use of your money. So there's this thing called an internal rate of return, IRR, and it's the time use of your money. So if I say, Rihanna, I'm going to double your money in 5 years, that's about a 17% IRR. If I double your money in 10 years, that's only a 10 or 12% IRR. So you want it quick. You want bigger return on your money, time use of your money, right? Because when I double your money in 5 years on that theory I gave at the beginning, that's how you really create. Now, I was on a deal that tripled my money in 20 months. Not going to happen very often, but I wish it would happen a little more often to me. So there are varieties of what happens. And then I've had a few deals that haven't doubled my money in 5 years. Um, because again, it doesn't mean none of this is a guarantee, right? It is a way, risk reward balance is what you're looking for in your real estate investing. And I often tell people, especially if you're going to invest in multiple deals, don't look for home runs all the time, right? If you ever know a baseball team that's going to win, they don't do it by hitting home runs. They get a couple of singles, a couple of doubles, and then they get a home run. And so balance out a little bit. So it is a lot to do with risk reward, in investing. We have I only invest in landlord friendly pro business states. So the Carolinas are in there, Florida's in there, Texas, Arizona. We do have a couple of investments in the Colorado market, Denver. Again,
North Carolina is tenant friendly.
yeah, I invest there. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you said
Oh,
landlord.
no, I invest in, but yeah, no, it's still business friendly. It's still a good state
Okay.
business. Yeah.
Let me ask you this. So just for people who aren't familiar with syndications, when we say what's the lifespan of a syndication on average 3 to 7, but on average 5 years, what happens then to the limited partners who are invested? Do the general partners sell that asset or are they
Yeah, that's
keeping it?
normally a sale.
Okay.
Sometimes it is a refinance, but normally it's a sale.
The,
So if it's a refinance, people stay. So refinance means you get a different loan. And so what happens is so let me just sort of big picture it, right? You buy an asset and Depends on the asset. It normally takes anywhere from 6 to 18 months where it really starts generating cash flow because you're putting a lot of money back into the business. You're fixing it up. Then it should generate some cash flow during the period. And then your big event happens at a sale where you sell it and everybody gets paid out. And that's where the big money is. On some types of deals, especially on development or really deep value add deals, there might be a refinance event. And,
And then
and
they buy out the limited partners,
they
but
don't
they
buy
keep
them
the
out.
asset.
They would get paid back some of their original investment and often, and every deal is different. So you need to understand what's happening on your deal. But so I'm on a deal and when they refinance the deal, the goal is we're going to get 50% of our money back. And instead of owning 70% of the deal, we drop down to 50, but we're still a partner in the deal. It's just when I get my money back, then it goes to a 50. So every deal is structured slightly different, but on general, you're going to make a little bit of cash flow normally during the deal, and the majority of the money comes with the sale of the asset at the end.
Now, how about have you ever been in any syndications where they buy and hold for a long period of time and
I
just
have not done
buy
that.
out limited partners? So there's always a lifespan
There
as far
normally
as
is
how
life.
long the asset is held.
Yeah. Yeah. There is normally, and again, I'm in one deal it was a 7 year deal. And it was, again, they were supposed to do what was called a cash out refi, where we got some cash out. Unfortunately, interest rates were a lot higher and loan to value was a lot lower. So it turned into be a cash in refi. And I was unable to put the cash in at the time. So my shares were diluted. If I was able to put the cash in, and that gets very complicated, but we're in this weird phase where interest rates really spiked.
So talk about for those who are new, because I have a lot of newer investors in my group too, but talk about capital calls.
Yeah, so a capital call can happen, and that's what happens when a deal gets in distressed and runs out of money. They can do a capital call. It'll all be spelled out what are the rules of a capital call, but it's a bit confusing. But normally, if you don't participate in the capital call, you're diluted. So if you participate, so again, let's say we put in, I'm just going to use $50,000 and a capital call came for 20% of the original investment. I would need to put in another $10,000 to not be diluted. If I couldn't put in the $10,000, then I'm diluted. Now, of course, if nobody put any money in, you run the risk that the deal will fail.
And then
Um,
everybody loses their
and
money.
then everybody loses.
Well, then the other benefit of syndications, besides it being a passive income, truly passive, where your money's making money unless you're a general partner, is that they're relatively short investments that you can make a nice chunk of money on
Yeah,
anywhere from 3 to 7 years, and then
yeah.
you're moving on. So your money can then roll over into something else.
That's right. And then that's what I talked about earlier, the time use of your money, right?
Yeah.
Kind of the sweet spot is
You
doubling every
pick a
5 years.
chunk of money and you just keep using that money to roll over and
Yes,
compound.
yes. Because
Yeah.
that's the real power.
Yeah. Anything else you want to share about your experience or massive capital before we wrap up?
Yeah, so of course, if you're interested in massive capital, connect with me. We do an educational webinar every Wednesday night at 6 Central. We're located in Texas, and it's free. And we just talk about things, different things to do with the marketplace, different things to happen. We also have a ladies group called She. They meet every other Tuesday. And again, it's the mission of they call it She Owns, and it talks about real estate within female empowerment. And I work with some of the most amazing ladies, and if you connect with me, you'll see me at one of their events in a wig because they always tease me if I wore a wig, I could show up. So I actually surprised showed up at one of the events, but again, joining up and being part of a powerful group like Massive Capital, where we offer a lot of free education. We do have a mastermind and a mentorship program. It's awesome if you want to go from passive to active, because our goal is basically it's that we call pathway to GP. So we all work on deals together. Then you help raise money for deals, and you're part of it. And it it's a symbiotic relationship, right? Because as our students grow, I grow, our partners grow, and that's how we're going to become massive.
And it's a trifecta win.
Yeah.
Everybody wins in that scenario.
And our investors win.
So let me ask you, Trevor, if you were to jump up on a rooftop and you had a captive audience that was hanging on your every word, hungry for your advice, what would that advice be?
Don't wait to buy real estate and wait.
Love that. Love that.
Yeah. I
All
wish
right,
I
everybody.
created it, but Warren Buffett, I think, gets the benefit for that one.
So look, go in the group after we're done and drop any links you want to in
Sure.
comments so people can get a hold of you. And if anybody has any questions for Trevor, go ahead and write them down in the chat. He'll check that later and connect with him, reach out to him. He's got a group, he's got
Yeah. I can put
education.
my link there, which has all of my social media and a link to book a Zoom call as well.
Awesome. So thank you so much for taking the time. This was absolutely delightful. I appreciate your energy, your experience. You know, just really sharing about syndications. A lot of people don't do them. They're at entry level with wholesaling and rehabbing, and they're doing all the single family and the rentals and stuff. So I think this was just a very educational, insightful meeting to open that up for people and help people see, hey, this is another way you can invest in real estate. This
Yeah.
is another way to
Well,
leverage your money.
and it's a way to take that other money. So, for example, when you're wholesaling, it comes to you as ordinary income. When you're doing passive investing, it comes to you as capital gains. And so, already huge tax advantages, and then add some of the depreciation from real estate deals becomes a very, very powerful tax vehicle.
Love that. Love that. Thank you so much,
My
Trevor. I
pleasure.
appreciate it.
I'm
All
glad to
right,
be here.
everybody, get out there and take action. No excuses. Go get results. Bye.